Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at a completely fascinating intersection today where artificial intelligence meets creative design. It's an area evolving so incredibly fast, it basically requires an entirely new ethical blueprint. We'll be exploring some cutting-edge research out of the Singapore University of Technology and Design that looks at what exactly happens when our design tools stop being just, well, tools and start acting a lot more like independent thinkers.
To kick things off, I want you to consider a pretty heavy, provocative question. If an AI designs a bridge that fails, or codes a system that turns out to be totally biased, who actually takes the blame, right? It hits right at the heart of authorship and accountability, especially when the everyday software we use suddenly levels up to become our actual co-creators. We're not just sketching lines on a screen anymore, we're prompting highly intelligent systems.
And this dilemma perfectly illustrates what researchers Tail and Chu call design intelligence, or DI for short. DI moves way beyond just using a simple piece of software. It's a complete living ecosystem. It covers AI for design, which is AI enhancing our own human capabilities. Then there's design for AI, us designing the intelligent systems themselves. And finally, perhaps the most mind-bending part of all this, design AI for design. That's where the AI is autonomously generating solutions all on its own.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll hit the AI co-creator problem, the design alignment problem, 4 lenses of moral design, building the ethical layer cake, and wrap up with the future of design. All right, section 1, the AI co-creator problem when the tool becomes the designer. So design intelligence breaks down into a really practical ecosystem, but it creates a totally new dynamic in the creative process. Think about it for a second. It isn't just about using a smarter paintbrush. It's a 3-part machine where AI evaluates alternatives and literally participates in iterative refinement. The key conflict here, distributed creative agency. When an AI helps you brainstorm, drafts up a model, and tests its efficiency, it really forces us to ask, who's the real author here? And honestly, more importantly, who holds the responsibility?
Moving on to section 2, the design alignment problem, bridging the ethical gap.
Here's the thing. Giving a highly capable AI copilot total freedom without any moral scaffolding is, quite frankly, a recipe for absolute disaster. There's this massive gap in our current thinking. Traditional design ethics, well, they address human-centered, client needs, things like sustainability and professional integrity. But AI ethics, they're incredibly technical. They focus on algorithmic bias, data privacy, explainability. The core problem is that neither one of these alone can properly govern an AI co-creator. They're basically 2 separate languages that desperately need translation.
Which brings us to the crucial point. We absolutely must solve the design alignment problem. You've probably heard this term tossed around a lot in AI development lately. In a design context, it means we have to ensure that as AI systems become increasingly capable and autonomous, they behave strictly in accordance with human values, human intentions, and our ethical boundaries. We have to make sure AI actually enhances, rather than replaces or just totally undermines the things we care about.
That takes us to section 3, 4 lenses of moral design, a practical toolbox.
To actually tackle this alignment problem, we need a specific set of philosophical tools. Don't worry, we're going to translate dense academic jargon into practical approaches using 4 distinct lenses. We've got deontology, consequentialism, relational ethics, and virtue ethics. Notice how each framework has a primary core focus, but also a specific limiting factor. Let's just break these down one by one so you can see exactly how they apply in the real world. First up, we have duty ethics, or deontology. Think of this as your absolute baseline constraint. It establishes the non-negotiable rules of the road. It demands that we protect fundamental human rights, preserve human agency, and, this is a huge one right now, ensure total transparency about AI's role in a project. Basically, if an AI helped design a product, duty ethics says the end user has a fundamental right to know that.
Next is outcome ethics, otherwise known as consequentialism. This one pushes designers to systematically measure the tangible impacts of their AI systems. It's all about the end results. Are the design outputs actually accessible? Did we gain any real efficiency? And, crucially, what on earth is the environmental cost? As the research points out, large language models have a staggering energy and water consumption rate. Outcome ethics forces us to weigh those heavy costs against the actual design benefits. Then we have the third lens, relational ethics. This reminds us that design,
Well, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It requires deep care for how AI tools distribute power and affect real, everyday human relationships. It brings to the forefront the messy, dynamic interactions between designers, the AI itself, and especially marginalized communities. It's all about ensuring that a design solution is actually appropriate for the specific cultural context it's being dropped into.
And finally, there's virtue ethics. This one brilliantly turns the focus inward. Rather than asking, what should I do? Virtue ethics asks, what kind of designer should I be? It puts the emphasis squarely on the character of the designer. It demands traits like empathy, humility, and what Aristotle called phronesis, or practical wisdom. It's that deeply cultivated intuition you need to navigate these incredibly complex human-AI interactions.
All right, Section 4. Building the ethical layer cake, stacking the frameworks. Now, here's the secret. We aren't supposed to just pick one of these lenses and call it a day. Instead of making these 4 frameworks compete with each other, we stack them together to build a really robust safety mechanism. We start at the bottom with the foundation layer of duty ethics. Those are our strict, non-negotiable rights. Then we step up to the evaluation layer of outcome ethics, assessing impacts, but only within those foundational boundaries. Next up is the relational layer, adapting for specific community relationships. And sitting right at the very top is the character layer, relying on the designer's cultivated practical wisdom to oversee the whole shebang. The massive takeaway here is what's called the value specification solution. By using this stacked layer cake model, designers finally have a way to define complex human values in a highly structured way. And because it's structured, AI systems can actually be programmed to recognize, learn, and align with these specific layers over time. It basically gives us a way to computationally verify that an AI is behaving ethically, a real game changer.
Which brings us to Section 5, the future of design, putting it into practice. So you might be wondering, why does all of this abstract theory actually matter to you and the tools you use every single day? Well, it matters because this integrated framework is already shaping the real world. In education, it's driving the push to integrate ethical reasoning directly into AI literacy programs. In governance, it's fueling strict impact assessments and safety standards, like the ISO 8800 standard for automotive AI safety. And in day-to-day practice, design teams are literally starting to use this layered model to document their reasoning when they hit an ethical roadblock. The ultimate goal? Creating AI that serves genuinely human purposes.
And just to put this into perspective, this entire layered approach wasn't just pulled out of thin air. It was synthesized by researchers reviewing an incredible 168 distinct articles spanning design ethics, AI ethics, and design intelligence. That massive volume of literature just goes to show how urgently the industry was begging for an integrated solution.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. As artificial intelligence becomes an ever-present co-pilot in shaping our physical and digital worlds, what specific human values will you demand be written into its code? The future of design isn't just about building smarter machines, it's about cultivating the human ethical wisdom to guide them. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next one.